It would take him mere hours, to turn the tables on the Queen of Washington insiders, dismantling decades of carefully curated power with nothing but facts, a folksy drawl, and a smile that hid the sharpness of an Oxford blade. Nancy Pelosi thought she could crush him with her East Coast elitism, mock his Southern accent, dismiss his intelligence, paint him as some backward hick from the bayou. She had no idea he was a Rhodes Scholar, an Oxford-educated lawyer who'd quietly built an evidence file on her corruption for years. What happened next? With that Louisiana charm and unyielding precision, Senator John Kennedy exposed her family's insider trading empire, her January 6th committee cover-up, her Taiwan trip's suspicious ties to massive profits, and $23 million in questionable gains. This is what happens when you underestimate a simple country lawyer. The Senate Judiciary Committee hearing room in the Hart Senate office building carried an electric charge that Thursday morning. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the polished floors, while the weight of history pressed down from the walls. The space was packed to bursting, every gallery seat claimed. Spectators crammed along the back walls, media cameras stacked 3 deep. Reporters from networks that usually skipped such proceedings were there in force, notebooks ready, live feeds humming. This wasn't routine business. Word had spread. Something big was brewing. At the elevated semicircular dais, 15 senators took their seats. Chairman Dick Durbin in the center, Democrats to his right, Republicans to his left. They all knew this hearing on Senator John Kennedy's Congressional Ethics and Accountability Reform Act, real-time stock trade disclosures, term limits for leaders, stricter insider trading penalties, would explode into the headlines. The bill had momentum, 87% public support, even Democrats struggling to oppose it openly. So they'd called in the big gun to torpedo it, Nancy Pelosi. She sat at the witness table like royalty holding court, navy blue pantsuit impeccable, pearl necklace gleaming, American flag pin on her lapel. Her silver hair was styled to perfection, not a strand astray. Flanking her were 5 aides, 2 K Street lawyers in suits that screamed influence, her chief of staff hunched over a laptop, communications director scrolling talking points, policy advisor stacking briefing books with military precision. This was the infrastructure of power. Pelosi, twice Speaker of the House, 37 years representing San Francisco, one of D.C.'s untouchables. She'd crushed opponents before. Today, she'd bury this bill and its sponsor. Across the room, Senator John Kennedy occupied his spot, third from the left on the Republican side. Gray suit off the rack from some Baton Rouge store, blue tie slightly loosened, reading glasses perched as he reviewed notes. At 68, he looked every bit the unassuming Louisianan, slow-talking, folksy, prone to ain't, and tales of his daddy's wisdom. What he didn't look like, a Rhodes Scholar from Oxford's Magdalen College, UVA law grad, decades as a practicing attorney and Louisiana state treasurer. People underestimated that constantly. Heard the accent, saw the demeanor, assumed simplicity. By the time they realized the trap, it was too late. In the gallery, a row of Kennedy's constituents from Louisiana, LSU shirts, Saints jerseys, one guy in a Cajun Navy hat, sat ready. They'd traveled far to witness this. They knew their senator's style, the drawl that lulled, the questions that struck. Beside them, small business owners, restaurant folks, shopkeepers, whose lives had been wrecked by policies while politicians profited. And in front, families of January 6th defendants, mothers, grandmothers, sisters whose loved ones languished in pretrial detention for minor charges, denied evidence, denied justice. They came for truth. Chairman Durbin gavelled the hearing to order, the sound echoing like a starter's pistol. His voice was neutral, practiced fairness masking bias. This hearing will come to order. We're here to examine Senator Kennedy's proposed Congressional Ethics and Accountability Reform Act. Significant changes to financial transactions and leadership terms. Serious matters deserving serious consideration. He paused for the cameras. We've invited Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi for her expert perspective, based on decades in leadership. His eyes flicked to Kennedy. Warning? Challenge? Speaker Pelosi, thank you for being here. The floor is yours. Pelosi leaned into the microphone, smiling at the lenses. She'd done this dance 1,000 times. Thank you, Chairman Durbin. Ethics have always been deeply important to me in my 37 years representing San Francisco. Smooth, authoritative. She consulted notes she likely didn't need. Which is why I'm troubled by this legislation. It claims to address insider trading and power concentration, but is really political theater. Grandstanding for sound bites, not serious reform. She zeroed in on Kennedy. Personal now. I've watched Senator Kennedy's performances in hearings. The folksy accent, down-home metaphors, the simple country lawyer routine deployed for cameras. Her tone dripped condescension. But we're not on a movie set. We're dealing with complex governance requiring sophisticated understanding, not simplistic solutions wrapped in Southern charm. Gasps from the Louisiana row. She'd insulted him, his state, his people. Pelosi pressed, Senator Kennedy represents one of America's poorest states, 49th in education, 47th in healthcare, 46th in opportunity. Perhaps his time is better spent fixing Louisiana than grandstanding about Washington ethics. The barb was calculated to provoke emotion, make him defensive, validate her performance art jab. The bill? Crippling arbitrary term limits, premature disclosures, weaponized politically. A fundamental misunderstanding of Congress. She folded her hands, satisfied. She'd dominated, belittled, set the narrative. Media would eat it up. Performance art, poorly conceived, doesn't understand complexity. She'd won before Kennedy spoke. Or so she thought. The room waited for Kennedy's retort, cameras hunting for fury. They found none. He sat still for 5 seconds, an eternity in that silence, face neutral, that small, amused smile lingering. When he spoke, the drawl was thicker, words molasses slow. Well, Speaker Pelosi, I surely do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to visit with us today. Friendly, respectful, no sarcasm detectable. But the Louisiana folks leaned in. They knew this tone, the lull before the storm. Now, I gotta be honest with you about something. Pause. He glanced at notes, back up, smile intact. You're right about some things. I am just a simple country lawyer from Louisiana. Can't deny that. He removed his glasses, cleaned them with his tie, deliberate, making them wait. Got my undergraduate at Vanderbilt, that's in Tennessee. Then, somehow, got accepted at Oxford University over in England, Magdalen College, if anybody's curious. They gave me what they call a Rhodes Scholarship. Casual, like mentioning the weather, but everyone knew Rhodes. One of the world's most elite honors. Still not sure how that happened, but spent a couple of years there studying philosophy, politics, economics, met some mighty smart folks, learned a few things. False modesty, highlighting credentials without bragging. Came back, went to law school at University of Virginia, Thomas Jefferson School, practiced law in Louisiana, Nothing fancy. Served as state treasurer before folks sent me here. He donned his glasses, opened a thick folder. So you're absolutely right, Speaker Pelosi. I'm not sophisticated like you folks in San Francisco. Don't understand all the complexities of how Washington works. Where I come from, people say what they mean. Don't dress up simple concepts in fancy language. The room shifted, steel beneath the charm. Which brings me to why I asked Chairman Durbin if you'd testify today. See, I've been looking into some financial transactions, stock trades, timing patterns that struck me as mighty interesting. He pulled the first document, House Financial Disclosure Form. I'm just a simple country lawyer, but even I can recognize insider trading when I see it. The room froze. Nobody breathed. Kennedy's smile held. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask a few questions about your husband's stock trades, just to educate myself. You being so sophisticated and all. Pelosi's poise cracked, eyes widening slightly. Her lawyers whispered frantically. She waved them off, but the trap was set. She had no clue what lurked in that folder. Years of compiled evidence, trades tracked, patterns documented. She was about to learn. Kennedy held up a sheet, angled for cameras. Speaker Pelosi, your husband Paul is quite the investor, ain't he? Conversational, like chatting over coffee. Not a financial expert myself. Barely understand my own retirement account. But I've reviewed some of his trades, out of curiosity, you understand. He peered at the document. And I noticed something peculiar. The word stretched, musical. December 2020. Your husband buys call options on Tesla stock, 25 of them. Basically, betting the price will go up. Cost about $1 million. Pause for the uninitiated. For folks at home, options are like lottery tickets, high risk, high reward. Lose it all quick if wrong. Back to Pelosi. 2 weeks later, President Biden announces the federal fleet's going electric. 650,000 vehicles, biggest EV buy ever. Let it sink. Tesla stock jumps 43% in a month. Your husband's options hit $2.6 million. He sells, pockets $1.6 million profit. 2 weeks. Pelosi defensive. My husband makes his own decisions. I'm not involved. Oh, I'm sure, Kennedy cut in gently. Y'all probably talk grandkids and dinner. Normal couple stuff. Smile intact. But then, here's what's coincidental. He buys EV options 2 weeks before the biggest EV announcement, something you had to know as Speaker. He pulled another. March 2021. Buys 10,000 Alphabet shares, Google's parent, $2.3 million. Antitrust bill pending that'd break a cutant cupuis. Break up, big tech. Google testifies before your committees. Pause. Bill dies in committee. No floor vote. Google stock rises. He sells 3 months later, 800,000 or profit. Another. July 2021. Microsoft options, $1.2 million. Cloud contracts approved through your appropriations. Stock up, $2 million profit. September 2021. Disney, $900,000. $1.3 million after streaming regs favor them. January 2022. NVIDIA, $3 million options. 31% rise post-semiconductor bill. $3.1 million profit. Kennedy rhythmic now, each trade a hammer blow. Should I keep going? Got about 40 more. He held a summary sheet, numbers camera large. I added it up. Simple arithmetic. Your husband made approximately $23 million since January 2020, when you became Speaker again. $23 million in 3 years. The number reverberated. Every trade timed with legislation or decisions affecting those companies. Every single one. Kennedy leaned back. Suppose he could be the luckiest investor in congressional spouse history. Magical timing, or something else. Senator Chuck Grassley. Suggesting access to non-public info? Just presenting facts, Senator. Dates, trades, outcomes, profits. Let folks conclude. Back to Pelosi. Let me tell you about Martha Stewart. Cooking shows, home decor. Sold stock avoiding $45,000 loss on insider tip. Government prosecuted. Guilty, 5 months prison. Pause. $45,000. Prison. $23 million, nothing. No justice probe, no SEC investigation, no ethics hearing. Louisiana gallery nodded. Small business owners fumed. Even some Democrats shifted uncomfortably. Kennedy. That don't seem right. In fact, seems crooked as a dog's hind leg. Laughter from gallery. Metaphor, pure Kennedy, Southern sting. Pelosi. Trades disclosed per law. My husband, private investor. Yes, ma'am, eventually. Often late, months past deadline, but disclosed. Another document. Let me highlight one. March 2022. 5,000 Visa shares. $1.1 million. Same week, Credit Card Competition Act pending. Hurt Visa. Bill dies in your committee. Visa up 29%. Sells for $320,000 profit. He noted, disclosed 38 days late, past 45-day rule. Why late, unless timing looked suspicious? Pelosi's lawyers objected. Mr. Chairman, inappropriate. Durbin. Witness may decline. Kennedy. Just establishing facts for the record. Helping understand terms and why we need reform. He closed the finance folder, opened another, thicker, heavier. If we're done with stocks, let's discuss something troubling more. January 6th Committee. Pelosi's relief vanished, face paling. Gallery's January 6th families sat straighter. You created that committee, appointed every member, rejected Republican nominees, hired TV producer for stagings, controlled evidence. Not questions yet. Foundation. Controlled what Americans saw and didn't. He held security footage photo. 41,000 hours from Capitol cameras. Committee reviewed all, showed 90 minutes selected clips. Kennedy. Got curious about what wasn't shown. Reviewed myself, with staff. Weeks watching. Photo. East Rotunda doors, 2:37 p.m. Officers open from inside, wave protesters in. Another angle. Gesturing, come on! Not fightin', invitin'. Why hide this? Why only violence clips? Photos. Protesters walking calmly, between ropes, selfies, like tourists. Presented as insurrectionists, but footage shows peaceful. Senator Tom Cotton. Withheld exculpatory evidence? Yes, sir. Had footage helping defendants. Police letting in confused folks thinking aloud, but didn't release. Document. Legal filing. Pamela Hemphill, 72-year-old grandma from Oklahoma, walked through open doors, 20 minutes, left peacefully. No vandalism, no assault. Voice cracking. FBI raids 6 a.m. Arrested before grandkids. 14 months pre-trial solitary for trespassing. Gallery. Elderly woman crying. Grandmother of defendant. Committee had door footage. Proved no break-in. But released after she pleaded. After year in solitary. Kennedy hard. Prosecutors withholding helping evidence? Brady violation. Illegal. Disbars. But y'all politicians, not bound by due process. withheld what didn't fit narrative. Pelosi strained. Showed representative footage or selective? Difference. More photos. Jacob Chansley, QAnon shaman. Presented violent, but footage. Police escorting him, opening doors, taken to Senate chamber. 9 officers, not restraining, tour guiding. Why hide? He leaned. I'll tell you. Not truth-seeking, political weapon. Destroy Trump associates. Denied due process. Grassley. Personally review footage before withholding? Pelosi. Committee collective. Not asked. Did you? Silence. Kennedy. One more. Ray Epps. Filmed January 5th, urgent go into Capitol. January 6th, directing crowds. Photo. Dozens videos. But never arrested. Charged. Committee defended. Called conspiracy theory. Why? Out of all on camera, why the urger walks free? No answer. Kennedy closed folder. Folks can conclude. Thinner folder next, but weighty. Now, your Taiwan trip. Pelosi White. This, she didn't anticipate. August 2022. High-profile, controversial, sparked China crisis. Document, timeline. July 28th. Biden signs CHIPS Act. $52 billion semiconductor subsidies. Beneficiaries: Intel, NVIDIA, Micron, Taiwan, Semiconductor. August verse. Husband buys 20,000 NVIDIA, 10,000 Micron, 15,000 Taiwan Semiconductor ADRs, $4.1 million in chips stocks. Pause. 1 day after biggest chips bill. August 2nd. Announced Taiwan trip. China threatens war. State warns against, but you insist. Flight records. August 3rd. Fly there. Meet semiconductor execs. Tour Taiwan Semiconductor. Discuss chips implementation. Kennedy. Husband invests $4 million in chips. You fly to chips execs during crisis. Let sink. Conflict or using position to protect investments. Crisis details. China fires missiles, military exercises, U.S. alert, sailors, airmen at risk. Diplomatic strain. Why then? Why risk? More docs. 6 months pre-chips. Met Taiwan execs 3 times. Video calls. Husband, no stock then. Post-chips, post-buy. Personal trip, crisis notwithstanding. Contrast damning. Video fine, no stock. $4 million owned. Suddenly in person, risk war. Kennedy disgusted. Looks like putting profit over security. Pause. Legal term? Corruption. Word echoed. Pelosi shook. Outrageous. Trip supported democracy. For democracy. Or companies husband-owned. He spread evidence. Timeline, purchases, schedule, movements, profits. By December, NVIDIA up 31%, Micron 24%, Taiwan Semiconductor 19%, $1.1 million profit, 4 months. Pattern clear. Kennedy direct. You attacked my bill. Grandstandin'. Don't understand governance. Too simple. Irony built. But I understand. Using position for enrichment. Denying due process. Profit over security. Voice low. Think you're above law. Rules for others, not you. Martha prison for $45,000. You $23 million. Nothing. Lean forward. That's why reform. Real-time disclosure. Term limits. Power corrupts. Your proof. Room erupted. Typing. Buzzing. Democrats averted eyes. Republicans hid smiles. Durbin gavelled. Kennedy. Support my bill? Silence. Trapped. Kennedy. Take as no. Smile returned. Fine. We got Americans. They see corruption. even in fancy language, expensive suits. Pause. Smile widened. Bless your heart. Louisiana laughter. Southern dismissal. Pitying insult. Pelosi flushed. Won't be insulted by someone who doesn't understand Washington. Sham. Stood. Said what I came for. Won't waste time. Exited, entourage shielding. Gallery sat. No respect stand. January 6th, Grandma. My grandson still in prison. Pelosi flinched, kept walking. Hearing dragged another hour. Anticlimax. 2 weeks later. Bill passes Senate 81-19, House 43-32. President signs, media frenzy. Conservative country lawyer destroys Pelosi. Mainstream downplays, but evidence undeniable. Clips, 120 million views. Bless your heart, memes explode. Pelosi presser, politically motivated, trades legal. No one buys. 2 months. Announces no leadership run. Focus district, family. Euphemism for ouster. DOJ, SEC investigate Paul Pelosi trades. Ongoing. Pelosi legacy, not achievements, corruption, $23 million, withheld evidence. Taiwan profits. Kennedy and hallway, reporter, prepared extensively. Smile. Read docs, followed evidence, asked common sense. Lawyers do, even simple country ones. Surprised effective? Chuckle. No, ma'am. Washington forgets. Americans ain't stupid. See hypocrisy, corruption, different rules. Daddy quote, son, lipstick on pig, still pig. $23 million insider, tradin', still insider, tradin'. Reporter. Critics say theater? Kennedy. I'm simple from poor backward state Pelosi mentioned, but no right from wrong. See corruption. Pause. Smile. So do Americans. He entered Senate. Back to work. Rhodes Scholar playing country lawyer. Trap sprung. No escape from evidence, no matter sophistication.